I got a plan and I got a vision. You don't understand and you can get missing. I won't let you ruin my tribe with division. I'm taking aim and I shoot with precision. I'm really the girl that these girls wanna be. So naturally feminine, but still a G. Where she get her vibe, she stole it from me. Where she get her, but I'm never tripping, you know how I do. I'm glad I could sprinkle some game on you, boo. I just let souls flow through me like water. Stunning these boys and these girls are my daughter. Aquarius energy, ho, I'm too wavy. 25 and I still ain't got no
straying. Scared of straying from society, the path that I was taught, new life, new lessons, new positions. There's nothing to fear, new learning. We're learning, adapting, I say. And the thing I found interesting about it is even though I still had 2 pens in my hand at the same time, each line is still different. Like there's like marks here above the N, there's like certain letters aren't written correctly and stuff like that, and I just thought it was so representative of just exactly what it was being spoken there. So that's the type of thing that I'm saying, like when it helps me a lot more to have visual aids. So like that's what I was saying, it's not exactly a segment, it's just kind of like me talking.
Hey or hey, peace queens. I am Keeyana of Live and Love Boutique. Welcome back to Queen Talks, and today we are talking to TyTheGod. To give a little context, the first time, I believe this was the first time that I met TyTheGod was at a spring networking event in 2023. This event was put together by Wholesome LLC, and at this event, Tyler was doing a poetry piece. It was super dope, something that I've never heard or seen before, and she was also translating in sign language. So at that moment, I knew she was very talented and gifted. She had a beautiful smile and an amazing outfit. The fit was crazy, y'all. Very stylish. And since then, I would see her at a couple other events in the poetry scene and the healing scenes in Philly, including Life's open mic. Y'all may know it's called a night of words, excuse me, and a couple other events. And I also keep up with her on Instagram. That's what led me to ask her on this interview series. Her content is very real, very authentic, very vulnerable and relatable. And without further ado, I will let her introduce herself.
Hello, I am TyTheGod, or TyTheGod. My name is Tyla. I am an androgynous woman, and I just plan to embody all the aspects of life that I can. I feel like there's a lot of shame attached to trying to figure out who you are and what path to go down, and I don't think any of that is necessary because the person who has your answers is you. So you can take advice from other people, but ultimately it's meant for you to create your own thing. So I just want to help people feel safe in their exploration.
I wholeheartedly, that's the word, agree with that. I say that all the time, like advice. Anyways, I agree with that, and I say that a lot. People can give you advice, but at the end of the day, you know what's best for you. Mm-hmm. And some people like that, some people don't, because they want somebody to tell them what to do, essentially.
That's it.
But either way, that's the truth in my eyes. And thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
So, off the rip, something you said brought a question to my mind. Do you mind explaining what androgynous is?
Androgynous to me is like femininity to me doesn't have a certain look, at least for how I embody it. I've always been fairly masculine my whole life, or masculine presenting, just in disposition. But as far as clothing and presentation, I've always done whatever I wanted. And I've never really been questioned on it until later in my life. And I started realizing I'm getting treated differently based on how I'm presenting. And I thought that was strange. Mm-hmm. So, and androgyny to me, when I say it, just means don't really expect a certain look or style from me. It's just, you're going to get what you get.
Okay. I like that. Okay. By that definition, I would consider myself a little androgynous. Mm-hmm. I don't have one style. So I definitely like that. It allows you to be more free, mm-hmm. less boxed in. It's dope. Can you give us some background on where you're from? Where did the name TyTheGod come from?
That's actually a hilarious story. But I am from Southwest Philly. When I was like 13, 14, I had moved out to the county. That was actually a pretty good decision because when I was in Philly, environment matters a lot. It matters so much. And I wasn't a bad kid, but because there was so much bad stuff going on around me, when I was not living up to my potential, it was slipping under the radar. So I would like go to school and like I would skip class a lot. I was an A student, but I didn't have to try to get those A's. So I'm like, I'm gonna do what I want. And I was actually falling off really badly until we moved out and the environment shifted. Now we got kids, they're having like academic competition and stuff like that. And it kind of encourages you to be a little bit better. The name TyTheGod, it was funny. I was... All right, okay. I was in the situation, and I was kind of talking to somebody at the time, but they were rude as fuck. They were so mean and seemed to think I was insecure for some reason. I didn't know I was upset.
People love to project.
Like, I don't know. They were so, like, just trying to make me feel small to make themselves feel better. And I ended up writing my poem. Like, I wrote this piece, Stream of Consciousness, which actually was going to be a thesis for a book. It still might be. But at the end of it, it says she's not trying to be like anyone else. She's establishing herself as God. I didn't understand in the moment when I wrote it or in the moment when I spoke it that I was referring to myself. And then I had to sit back and I'm like, oh my God, like, why did I, like, and it was such a strange thing because that was me at an unsure place regarding my confidence. Like, I wasn't insecure, but I wasn't like, calling yourself a god is something really, really bold. That's something really, really bold. I consciously wasn't there, but subconsciously I already knew how I felt. And then I want to explain what it means to be a god. It's not a status thing, it's a state of being. It's an expression of your spirit. It's something that everybody has within them. They have the opportunity to divulge. They might not necessarily know it's there, which is a part of the work that I do, helping people recognize that's within them. So if you recognize yourself as a god, you have to recognize everyone and everything else as a god as well.
Ashe. I definitely agree with that, and you just reminded me of a conversation that I was having with the Uber driver maybe 2 or 3 days ago. And actually, I was leaving here. What was I doing? I think we had shot another interview. No. It was the Expressive Illustrations photo shoot. I was leaving Rec Philly, and this Uber driver, he was like asking me what was I doing. I was telling him all about Expressive Illustrations, Live and Love Boutique. It's all about self-love. And he was just asking like, well, what is self-love? What is God to you? And things like that. And in that conversation, I was explaining like, well, to me, God is a source. God is the source. God is in everything. God is within all of us. And he was basically asking me like, so what would you say about somebody who's a drug dealer, a murderer? Are they still a great person? And I was trying to communicate like, you are who you are because God created you that way. So it doesn't matter what you do. Like, you may not be living godly, but you're still who you are because God said so. And hopefully that makes sense to people. He was a Orthodox Christian. I think that's correct. And I would just say that my views didn't change when I got out of the car, but nonetheless, I am definitely going to look into Orthodox Christianity just so I can learn a little bit more about it.
And that kind of brings the question, what does it mean to live godly? Because I studied a plethora of religions, but I grew up Christian, so the Bible is kind of... It's just a simple one to go to when I'm struggling or when I need something to think of. But I like to do it in my own time because I think the Bible is meant for you personally to interpret because your walk with God is going to be very different from anybody else's. Once again, it's the same thing. You can get help, but at the same time, God's going to speak to you when they need to in any form that they present themselves. And I love the parables, the riddles and stuff that they give. And I was asking questions like, technically you're not supposed to work on a Sabbath day, but if, your sheep gets lost, are you going to just leave it there? You know what I'm saying? That's work, technically. And it was saying like, oh, these men, they were hungry and they went in the church and ate the priest's bread. Are you going to say that they're wrong? Because technically they're not supposed to. And it's like, it's stuff like that I think people often leave out. There's a lot of freedom in many of the main religions that people... I don't know. They just don't seem to see it, maybe. There's a lot of fear involved, definitely. And
traditionalism, fear. It's a lot. It's definitely a ball of emotions, which is like we try to explain things logically, but it's so steeped in emotion and perspective. Like, there's no way to give someone your eyes to see. Like, so you're going to see it, you're going to perceive it how you perceive it, and only you can perceive it that way. Even if it's very similar to somebody else, it's not the same understanding. And I think that's what people overlook when it comes to religion. Like, these